inspiration, and so much more. Communication, motivation, yo. It's a show for the people, by the people, yo. It's Toucy on the show. Keep them wanting more and more. It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
Now you know, on 19th March 1911, the International Women's Day was honored for the first time in Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland. Between 1913 and 1914, women in Russia observed their first Women's Day on February 23rd. Collectively, it was decided that 8th of March can be the global accepted day to celebrate the International Women's Day. The International Women's Day 2022 theme is Changing Climates, Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow, recognizes and celebrates the contribution of women and girls around the world who are working hard to change the climate of gender equality and build a sustainable future. We will feature women in various sectors throughout the month of March. For us to achieve gender equality, we need to elevate women regardless of who they are or what they do. We are now joined by our first guest on this special edition.
It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
A mother, a wife, an entrepreneur, and a risk taker. The owner and founder of Oilonga Media. A very warm welcome, my dear sister.
Thank you, Toucy. I'm so glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you.
So since we're celebrating the International Women's Day, we thought it's very imperative that we also invite entrepreneurial women to our show, and you happen to be one of them, and we want to grace you. And I just want to say, what is your take on this year's theme?
Women are basically saying three things. They are saying that we are scientists. You know, we go to school now, we are learners. Let us help with building a sustainable future. Let us help with coming up with solutions when it comes to global warming, desertification, the acidification of the oceans. We are saying that we also do contribute to global warming or to climate change because, as I said, we are basically half of the world. So if the person that is causing the problem is not involved in the decisions, are they really going to actively find solutions and be change makers? No. There are many women around the world that are key players in climate change initiatives to keep the progression of climate change, and they need to be given bigger voices, they need to be given bigger positions so that they can make a bigger difference.
So moving on to the next one, being the owner of Oilonga Media, you are the boss in your boardroom, but when you go home you need to be a wife.
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
The same way the accountant, if there was a business presentation, would be the one to stand up and talk about the finances, is the same way that at home the person that has the skills within a particular area, or the best cook, or the one who has better financial management should wear the pants in that aspect.
Wow.
So yes, the husband does wear the pants, but in which area exactly?
When it comes to earnings, okay, we have that struggle that we're actually fighting globally, where we feel like women normally earn lesser than men counterparts. Can you just elaborate a little bit on that, how you feel about it?
It's not so much that males are getting paid more, but they are getting the better positions, the management positions, and therefore they earn more. So if women can be entrusted with leadership positions, I think that could solve the issue. And we are doing really well in Namibia.
Absolutely.
We are among the top when it comes to equality, even politically. So bigs up to our political leaders for that.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight about the issue, because I think every woman has a voice when it comes to International Women's Day globally.
And more. It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
She's a hard-working entrepreneur who believes in growth in lives of other women. The owner of AG Premier Jeans. And what is so inspiring about this queen is that her business is running in Nigeria. In addition, she recently opened a daycare this year called the Babies and Tots Daycare. Viewers, please help me welcome Assumpta Kahutu. Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you so
You're
much
so
for
beautiful.
having me. Oh, so are you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so when we're talking about this year's theme of the International Women's Day, Do you agree with it?
I fully agree with it. I feel like women now are working so hard, way harder than a lot of men now. We've decided that, it's also our time to shine. And yeah, we are breaking through.
There is a view that says women can be CEOs at their workplace, but when they get home, they have to be submissive to their husbands.
Yeah.
Are you in agreement with that?
Well, I am very much in agreement with it. Unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of people will debate with me, but I feel like even in the Bible, we need to submit to our husbands. We have to work hard, yes, but when we get home, we need to submit. The man is always the head of the house. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. No matter how much money you're making, the man will always be the head of the house. And, that's why I always believed like strong, successful women end up being single, maybe because they don't want to submit. But I feel like outside, I'm going to work hard, but when I get home, I need to respect my husband. And
that's how you feel?
Yeah, that's how I feel.
And also, we also need to make sure to our viewers to say, this is why we bring different guests on the show with different opinions.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the views of the NBC nor of the talk show. But that's very important. Yeah. And then we also move on to say there is pay discrepancies. Men normally get more money than women while they're holding the same positions. Yeah. What is your take on that?
I mean, if I'm a lawyer and you are a lawyer, I don't see why we need to get paid differently. Like I've employed women and men and I pay them the same salary. I'll never pay the man more because he's a man.
We truly appreciate it. And that's what makes, the world democratic and diverse and so on, is because we have different opinions on different matters. So that was Asamta Kahutu, an entrepreneur, a daycare owner, and an Instagram sensation with 208+ followers on the show today.
It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
Her face is not new on TV, but also known as one of the social media influencers with more than 42K+ Instagram followers. This 20-year-old gorgeous goddess is also known for her good presenting skills, as she was one of the first presenters on Justin's program on NBC1. She's a student at the University of Namibia, a digital and content creator. Welcome the queen herself, or rather the princess, Puku Riatfa. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. What an introduction. I'm flattered.
It's a pleasure to have you, my sweetheart. Okay, so please tell us, this year's theme, do you agree with it?
I absolutely agree with it. I know that this year's theme is all about gender equality, and me always being an advocate for like women empowerment, I feel like this theme embodies just that, like championing women, breaking down the barriers of discrimination based on your gender, and really like seeing what women bring to the table and their achievements and appreciating them as just that.
Okay, talking about women bringing something on the table, they would normally say women must remain bosses in the boardrooms and just be submissive to their men at home. What's your take on that?
I feel like my take on that is that we are in the 21st century now. Things are not as they were before and as those that came before us. So I'm definitely feeling we're moving into a more advanced stage. Women are now also breadwinners. Women bring bread on the table, they provide for the family. And back then, men were, considered the head of the household because they supported everyone. But now women can also do the same thing. So it's not a thing of men have a power over women now.
When we look at the pay discrepancies, men normally get more than women, and it has been proven in Hollywood and anywhere else, where either women of color are also fighting for fair payment. What is your take on that one?
I definitely agree with that. I feel like as much as we try, like we are moving into a better stage, like we are having more opportunities for women. But at the end of the day, if you take someone that has the same qualifications, a woman and a man, they'll always prefer the man. We also have to take into consideration men are in more higher paying industries than women. Higher paying positions, you find a lot of men that are cluttered in that space. But I feel like fewer women are rising up there. We're getting there slowly but surely. We're getting our women ministers, we are representing.
So the pay should be equal
The pay should be equal though, yes, 100%.
Thank you so much. Your views matters to us, and that's why we felt like we need to have that age gap, because this year's theme also talks about, young girls' empowerment and equality and so forth. So to have a view from a youngster like yourself who has made it as a YouTuber, it's, you know, it's a blessing. Yes.
thank you.
There you have it from our own sensation. She has made it on YouTube. She's also one of our own presenters here in-house at the NBC, the one and only Puku Riatwa.
Wanting more and more. It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
Our next guest is a brave young lady who fought against all odds to normalize her ordeal. She also served as a board member of the National Disability Board and was a netball player in her heydays. Currently employed at NAM Water. Please help me welcome Uttari Rakangio. What a pleasure, my sweetheart. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure being here.
Let's get into it. So we're celebrating the International Women's Day, and we thought that it's very imperative that we discuss how our guests feel about the theme.
Yeah.
So what is your take on it?
Empowering women and girls to be part and have equal say in decision making related to climate change, sustainability is very essential for sustainable and gender equality.
Yes, there's a view that says women must remain CEOs in boardrooms, but when they get home, they must be submissive to their husbands. What is your view on it?
I would say a relationship, marriage is a partnership where two people can have an agreement when it comes to matters that are important to their family.
And they can also equally share the roles
Yes,
in the
they can.
household.
Yes, men and women have different domestic roles. Not really domestic roles, they have roles when it comes to a partnership or when it comes to marriage. So
You see a lot of women and women of color mostly raising up the issue of salary discrepancies. And you would learn, or you would actually witness, that men normally get more than women. So I just wanted to hear your view as well on that, you know, on that issue.
yeah, I would say a basic principle is men and women should have the same opportunities when it comes to an economic activity. Whether if two people like a man and woman are doing the same job, why should there be any different in payments? They are both availing themselves doing the same job. So to me, that's a bit of discrimination,
Discriminatory.
yeah, based on gender, which is not something that we would like to
see
happening still.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Thank you so much for sharing your various views with us. We're very appreciative. We definitely sure that you've inspired a lot of women and young girls and men that are watching this program.
It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
She is an eminent local and international financial sector expert with experience spanning over 25 years, both as former financial service regulator and a financial service provider across African countries, director on several public and private sector boards throughout Africa, Compliance Institute of Southern Africa. She also holds an MBA in law, among other qualifications in economics and finances. Please help me welcome my beautiful sister, Marcelina Hauses. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so now we are celebrating the International Women's Day.
Yes.
And you've read the theme and you acquaint yourself with it. Are you in agreement with it by any chance?
Yes, I think the theme is befitting because of the current disasters that we are facing globally, that there's serious climate implications for us. And I think that as business women, we have the important task to also recognize climate changes in every business that we are doing, any projects that we are investing in, or any projects that we are involved in. Because as business people, period, if you don't take the changes happening currently in the climate in your business decisions, then you might as well not be part of decision making or part of involving yourself with things that impacts on human beings. For example, if you're in agriculture, it's important to ensure that all agriculture inputs are climate friendly, planet friendly, so that the food production process.
Yeah. Okay, so we move on. Now you are a boss lady yourself in your own right. And a lot of times you would hear a statement that says, remain a boss in that boardroom. Once you get home, you need to be submissive to your partner, your husband. What do you say to that?
Each one of us has a role to play as partners into whether it is in the boardroom or as partners at home. And my belief in this is that for centuries, and as long as I can go back to my mothers and my grandmothers and aunties, women has always been the force behind every man in terms of controlling their households. And that's why it's easy for a woman to translate it into a business world, because we are automatically bosses of our homes. It doesn't mean that the role for a father or a husband has been diminished, because he remains the head of the house as per God's creation.
Being the CEO of your own company, because you are the founder and director of Middle Growth Capital, you earn a big fat check, they would say. And when you hear this thing of always there's a discrepancies between salary or earnings between male and female, what would be your take on that one?
I take recognition to the fact that discrimination is always going to be there, but people's livelihoods has to be taken into account when you are making decisions that can impact on their ability to take care of their family. And that's the bottom line. So it should not be about, Toucy, you are the woman, or you are the black person, and Marcelina, you are the white person, and because of that, you are being paid discriminated against, or because you are a male or a female. It has to be based on what you are bringing to the table. And anybody that pays anybody different salaries because of reasons of religion,
or
gender or race. We are living in light, we are in 2022, year 2022. Those things should not matter anymore. All that should matter for a business perspective is that the person brings to the table the value that you want for your business. And that's it. Nothing else should matter.
Yes, and that was the director and founder of Middle Growth Capital, Marcelina. Thank you so much.
People wanting more and more. It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
She is a mother, a wife, and an entrepreneur. The owner of Unique Medispa and Ivy Clinic, the one and only Fadia. So beautiful, are you?
Thank you, Toucy. Thank
yes.
you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. What do you think about the theme?
I actually really love the theme because I think women past and present has really been thriving for this for centuries basically, especially women who has specifically thrived for the real purpose of the movement without any selfish ambitions and things like
paving the way for us.
Paving the way for us, yes.
Okay, so now you being the boss lady. So they say remain a boss lady at Unique, and then when you go home, you become the wife.
Okay.
What is your view on that?
I do believe that the husband should be the head of the house. I know that there is a scripture that has been taken out of context, and that's women submit to your husbands, not specifically to men, but to your husbands. So I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman being the boss in her business or in a boardroom or anything like that, and then coming home and letting her husband take that role of being the head of the house. That's of course as long as he also fulfills his roles and responsibility as the head of the house, according to the scripture, then I don't see any problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So being an entrepreneur, we're talking about money. And then it's always a thing of male counterparts supposed to earn more than their female counterparts.
Yeah, that's obviously very, very unfair and unjust because I just believe that if we're doing equal work, if we're performing the same responsibilities, we have the same qualifications, we have the same amount of experience, then that should equate to the same pay. That is just what would be fair.
So when we talk about beauty industry in Namibia, there is no way that we can leave out Ms. Fadia Siebrits, the owner of Unique Medispa and Ivy Clinic right here in the capital, Namibia. Thank you for watching the show.
It depends when she hits the floor.
I'm now joined by the beautiful former Desert Jewels captain, also a founder and director of Toucy Netball Academy. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're talking about the International Women's Day.
Yeah.
What is your take on this year's theme?
The theme itself speaks volume for me as a woman, and then as a sports person as well. There are so many things that we women want to achieve in life. And then again with the hashtag break the bias. So that's also included in the theme. It speaks much to us, and especially me having a netball academy that works with small children, you know, the girl child. So we actually kind of trying to build a future for those girls. So it talks a lot. So we want them to not only become sports person in life, or we don't just focus on the sports side of it, we focus just generally as girls, their lives, jobs, you know, they have the social side of it as well, that we all compile in this, and then we just strive to make sure that they are the future for tomorrow.
And you're actually putting bread on their table. It's not only the fitness that comes with it. So we really applaud you for it, and for you to go play in England and then you come back and you plow back.
Yeah,
that's a huge welcome.
Thank you.
So normally you would hear a say that says women must remain bosses in boardrooms, but when they come home, they must allow their husbands to be the head.
God made men to be the head of wives, because their head is Christ.
There is salary discrepancies.
Yeah.
Normally men will get paid more. We've actually seen this in Hollywood as well, where women are fighting for equal pay. So how do you feel about that?
You cannot really say men should get more than women. As much as I say men are our heads, I still believe that if me as a woman can go to a university or do the same course as a man,
have the same qualification as
have
a male
the same
counterpart.
qualification, yes, and then come back into the working environment and I have to be paid less because I'm a woman, I think that is not fair at all. And I think that is the thing that we are fighting for as women, especially with this International Women's Day. So with that one, I still think we need to keep fighting for it so that we can have an equal pay. Yeah.
Or if a woman deserves to get paid more than a man, they should be able to.
Yeah, they should be
more than a man.
They should be able to get more than a man.
Wanting more and more. It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
The former U.S. Deputy Chief of Mission to Namibia from 2020 to 2021, she is currently serving as the Chargé d'Affaires for the U.S. Embassy in Namibia. That is none other than Miss Jessica Long. A warm welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. As we celebrate the International Women's Day on the 8th of March, we thought that it's imperative that we invite some women in high-profile positions as well, yes, to come and share their view on this day. So you've read the theme, and we just wanted to know your view on that.
So you know what I love about the theme is that it equates equity and equality for women and girls with sustainability.
Right.
And I think, you know, if you look at the problems the world is facing, how are we going to come up with sustainable solutions to energy problems and climate change and health and national security and growing economies if we don't have women at the table? And so I think it's really important to highlight we need to be advancing equality, not just gender equality, obviously racial, socioeconomic, everything else, gender identity, but we're not going to solve the problems if we don't have women sitting at the table.
Awesome. Couldn't agree more. Okay, so there's a say that says, remain the CEO or the chief of mission in the boardroom, but when you get home, you just become a wife. So I want to hear your view, you know, given the different cultural background.
Sure. You know, sort of tied to what I was saying before, there are so many serious problems in the world that my view is we need to be encouraging everybody in the workplace, in the home, everywhere, to be developing all of their talents and their skills. We need everybody to contribute. And I think it's true to say the way I lead at the embassy, there are some differences to how I interact with my husband at home, but there's some similarities too. I mean, I think in both places, the goal at work is to make sure that every agency, every section has what they need to be successful.
Now we've realized, or seen on television, media, social media, so forth, that women of color in Hollywood are crying in terms of, pay discrepancies. The Caucasians are getting paid more, and when it comes to gender, normally males get more and females get less.
Right.
What would you say to that?
I mean, obviously, it's just a basic issue of justice. It does not make any sense to pay women or people of a certain race or tribe or anything differently for the same work. Men and women should be getting paid the same. And the reality is, when women do better, men and boys also do better.
Absolutely.
The goal is not to push one down to bring the other up, it's to help bring everybody up. And so sometimes we target girls for that purpose, to help bring them up as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking our time to come and sit with us and share your views on the International Women's Day celebrations in Namibia.
Thanks
you
so much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. That was the Chargé d'Affaires, Mrs. Jessica Long from the U.S. Embassy, sharing her views. We'll be right back with more show.
It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. What better way to boost your level of confidence with the lipstick color of your choice? Her hands are blessed when it comes to a good touch of a face beat, and on top of that, an award-winning artist, humanitarian, clinical psychologist, creative director, CEO of At the Loaf Name, and I mean, what can she now do? Welcome, Ms. Renata Shikongo, to the show.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, as we're celebrating the International Women's Day, what is your take on this year's theme?
I think the theme is quite self-explanatory. I mean, if you put women and sustainability together, it's we maintain, we keep it going. So I love it. It's about time.
Some men feels like women must only remain bosses at their workplace, but when they come home, they should be submissive and just take a chill pill and report to their husbands.
Two is always better than one. I can't now withhold because you are the man and you should lead. What if I was going to bring something else on the table? So I don't believe in that. I don't think it makes sense, and I don't think in this day and age with a lot of fluidity going on by gender, I don't think anything should be based on gender to rule.
Good view. We accept that. That's your view.
Yes.
Okay. And then it cascades down to earnings, where they feel, women feels like they earn less than men and men earns more. Should it still remain the case, or women should start earning equally to men?
In this day and age where women are actually more hardworking, so I don't think, I like the fact that it's changing and it should change, and I think we are almost there. So I don't think we are suffering from that until now with the whole gender. Because of your gender, you get more money. I think it has to do again with your capabilities.
My dear viewers, there you have it from the creative director herself, Renata Shikongo, clinical psychologist, creative director, humanitarian. What can the girl now do? And she had her opinion on these issues of the theme of the International Women's Day. Hope you enjoyed it.
Wanting more and more. It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
A warm welcome to the Toucy T Show as I welcome Dr. Mara Berira, who is a Fulbright scholar, a registered clinical psychologist, and a former lecturer at the University of Namibia. She works with local adults, adolescents, and couples who have special interests and experience working with individuals who struggle managing their loss, life transitions, and relationships. A very, very warm welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking time to come and sit with us.
Thank you for having me.
We're celebrating the International Women's Day, and we thought that it's very, good to have different women in different spheres of the industries in Namibia. You've read the theme of the International Women's Day, and we just wanted your opinion on that.
I don't think that any society benefits from keeping women down.
Correct.
Having a whole population of women poor does not benefit the globe. It doesn't benefit Namibia at all. So I think it's time for us to stop paying lip service, because we've been doing this for a long time, and we continue to still have women who are not taking up spaces. I really think that we have to put action where our words are, and not just talk about it without doing anything about it. And I'm calling on everybody, male and female, to actually contribute. This is not a female problem. This is a human problem. So when we keep women down, nobody really benefits from this.
You nailed it. Yeah. So running your own practice, they would normally say, remain a boss, CEO of your own practice, but when you get home, just tone it a little bit down and become the partner, the wife that you need to be.
No man who is strong enough, and I'm not talking about muscle power,
right,
who is emotionally strong enough should feel threatened by the strength of a female, because the strength of a female becomes complementary to any healthy relationship. Females also have to be more conscious of who they get married to, so that if they go home and want to continue to be the boss, then you know that you have gotten married to somebody who's not threatened by that.
Right. Now I feel like I'm in a psychological session going on. You're putting it so well. So as it's a global crisis where women are still being paid less than their male counterparts. What would your advice be?
I don't understand why people who are doing equal work should be remunerated differently. But if I've noticed something, women are also not very good at taking up space and negotiating their salaries from a place of power and strength, from a place of knowing that I have something to contribute and no one is doing me a favor by appointing me in these positions. So whilst men may benefit from keeping the system, I think we should also do a lot more work with women for them to negotiate better for themselves, because it's my assumption. When a woman gets a position that is supposedly reserved for men, I think they tend to be more apologetic, grateful, as if someone is doing them a favor,
right,
and therefore completely forget about negotiating for a better salary. Whereas men, irrespective of who they are, would walk in with that
shoulders high,
and I am entitled to ask for more because I am more.
Wow.
Women should also start knowing that they are more and not negotiate for less.
I was the one and only Dr. Mara Berira, a clinical psychologist in Namibia, just giving us tips and giving us more depth on how to take up space. More shows coming your way.
It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
She is a professional business development specialist with 23 years in diversified social and economic related fields. She worked at NBC as a journalist and producer, now a self-employed and owner of Toucy Line Consultancy Services, a force to reckon with. Madam Toucy, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Toucy.
It's a pleasure to see you. It's been a long while.
It's been a while indeed.
Yes.
I'm glad to be here.
And it's actually an honor to have you on the International Women's Day program.
I'm pleased.
So when we talk about the International Women's Day, you've read the theme. Are you in agreement with it?
100%. For a reason that it basically is premised around the need to recognize the women's contribution as far as decision making is concerned, especially when when it comes to the changes that are happening in the environment and how it impacts society in general. So it basically calls for a recognition of the impact that women have, or ladies in general have, in decision making, because as much as it's important that they are participating in decision making, they should also be accorded that opportunity to participate in changes that are pertaining to in the environment in particular. Because, psychologically, if there are changes in the environment. Let's say there's climate change and it doesn't rain, for example. It triggers a psychological
impact
on women, not just on people in general, but I think it's more so on women because naturally, you know, they think about how do I move forward given these changes if it doesn't rain. One thing that comes to mind is, for example, how do I feed my family? Or how do I feed the society in general? Because women have got that instinct, responsibility, not just towards themselves, but also just towards the society in general.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, you have to realize that the women are more, are operating at the micro level. They are more in touch with the situation at the grassroots level. Therefore, they are more likely to be impacted upon by any change that happens in an environment.
Well said. So now you've been a boss lady for such a long time with Tuli Line. And the question remains, are you only the boss at the office, or you also become the boss at home, or your husband is the head?
I think it's a matter of choice. It's really a choice, how you want to project yourself as a boss or as a subject. I think for a very long time, women have always been conditioned to reduce their participation in certain spheres of life and confine themselves to certain environments. But I think it should be the woman or a girl's own choice to decide where they want to actively participate. If they choose to be in the kitchen, well, that's their choice. It should be their choice. It should not be a parameter defined by society. And if they choose to be in the boardroom, let it be. If they choose to be pilots, if they choose to be journalists like yourself, if they choose to be engineers in the field, let it be their choice and not a role defined by somebody else or imposed on them by society.
So now we're moving on as a boss lady again. So you've got your own profit margin that comes at home. And we realize that a lot of women globally are crying in terms of salary discrepancies. Men counterparts normally earns more. What is your take on that?
For me, it should have never been, it should not be now, and it should not be in future. Women, just like men, have capabilities. They are able, they have capabilities, and if they feel comfortable in playing a role in an environment which traditionally was occupied by men, they should be compensated for that.
Equally.
Equally. And a decision that, or an opinion that is tabled by a woman, whether it's in parliament, whether it's in the boardroom, should be looked at based on merit. You should not consent or dissent it because of who brought it to the table. You should basically look at it based on its own merit, irrespective of the gender that's attached to whoever is bringing it to the table. So for me, I think Namibia has really made significant strides in that area. If you look at, for example, in the political environment, there is a zebra style that's applied when we conduct elections. And then also in the public sector or public service employment structures, there are also some elements of margin of preference that's applied. For example, if a man and a woman perform on equal level when it comes to an interview technically. So that was made to address the imbalances that were there in existence. And I think we are really one of the countries that has made strides. And, but I recognize that elsewhere in the world, there are, of course,
Those challenges.
Yes, serious challenges that needs to be looked at.
It's always a pleasure to talk to women entrepreneurs to share ideas how they navigate through a society that always dictates how women should think, what they should earn. And that was Tuli Mayoka Panda. It's been a pleasure to interview her, a former colleague at NBC. As the saying goes, practice what you preach, and we are doing exactly that in this episode, where we have two young ladies. One is Hilma from Communications Department at NAST, and the other one is Sawadi at School of Medicine Department. We decided to involve these two ladies to come and share their sentiments on the celebration of the International Women's Day. We cannot leave them behind. They have to be part of the decision makings in the boardrooms and in the studio. A very warm welcome, young ladies.
Thank you so much for having us.
Such a pleasure being here.
Wow. All right, let's get into it. We're talking about this year's theme. Sawari, what's your take on the theme?
I believe that the theme is very powerful. I think it's a very necessary theme, and it's just on time and on brand for what's happening in the world right now. The theme includes basically trying to get women into positions and places that they are not necessarily at. And I think that's very important. It's an important conversation to start right now.
Hilma, on to you. What are your thoughts?
I believe that this year's theme is quite empowering because it includes all those aspects about women empowerment, gender equality, sustainable future for every young woman out there. So I believe that it's giving an opportunity for women to be part of critical world matters, as it should have been for decades now. It is allowing women to give their views and opinions on more international platform should be a top priority for every government and every organization with a strong socio-economic impact, just considering the gender oppression that has been taken away from women for so long now.
Okay, so there is a say out there that says women must remain women at home and then they become bosses in boardrooms.
Asking this question makes me feel like people are still questioning the capabilities of women. So somebody really needs to raise this question. But however, I believe that women are creators by nature. We are born with critical thinking. That's what makes us good directors. But I believe that a relationship is between two people. And when two people are in a relationship, they come together and they assign themselves with these roles. So when you come to a conclusion, you need to respect these roles within a relationship with mutual respect. Because a relationship should not be a battle of war. It should be two people working together.
You saying it like it is. Come on, Asawari. Punch in.
No, I actually kind of share the same sentiment as Hilma here, because I do believe that a relationship is really just between two people, and that's just what it is. I think that in this social media era, we are so used to knowing people's business that we start thinking it's our own. I think people need to mind the business that pays them and mind the business that is theirs. So if somebody wants to be submissive at home, in just the same as Hilma was just saying now, then they can go ahead and do that. If they want to be dominated, go ahead and do that. If they want to be dominant, they can also go ahead and do that.
Normally, men earns more than women. What are your thoughts on that? Sawadi, on you.
I believe this is a question that I think we all know the answer to. You know, we are working towards equality, so nobody wants that to be the reality right now. We want people to earn equal amounts. But if we're really talking about men earning more than women, if we're really going to get into it, since it's a conversation that I think we've had before, I think we need to go back into a situation where most men have been employed in these positions that women are just starting to fill for a very long time. So it is very difficult for a company to say, you have been earning 10,000 per month, but now we're going to reduce it to 7,000 because Toucy also needs to earn another 7,000 per month. So I think when it comes to that, that's where the whole kind of situation it becomes a little bit tricky. It's something that we want, but I think that sometimes we don't need to push, we just need to appreciate where we've gotten thus far. So we want women to earn equal, but I think we also just need to be a little realistic with how that's going to go about.
Okay. Hilma, your thoughts?
I believe salary discrepancy should be a thing for the past now. Yes, and times have changed. Let me say, for instance, I and this male colleague of mine will go to the same company. We have the same qualification. We bring the same work abilities at the table. Then I don't think there's any reason for any discrimination because you are both bringing the same effort on the table.
Ladies, I could not thank you enough. And this is the reason why I always like to interview young ladies. You always have this energy and you just throw it out there unfiltered, which is very good. The Toucy Show is right here to stay, and it's going to give you lots and lots of content. Stay tuned.
It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
She is an award-winning sensation, Namibian-born musician, singer, songwriter, actress, businesswoman, and philanthropist. She is also known for her best single called Cachet, featuring the one and only Nigerian Panto Ranking. Give it up for Taylor J. Hey, Taylor J.
Taylor J.
Taylor J. Taylor J. I like the TikTok challenge.
Hi.
It's a warm welcome to have you on the program. While we're celebrating the International Women's Day, we thought that it's imperative that we have you on the program because you have represented us on the continent.
Thank you, man. Thank
Yes.
you. Shout out to all the beautiful ladies. You know, we do this for you.
Exactly. All right. So about this year's theme on the International Women's Day, what is your view on it?
However, I do think it's important that the environments within our businesses do change. I'm a female musician, you know, in an industry that's highly dominated by men. So more women being brought in, whether it's in film, whether it's in music, whether it's in finance and things like that, definitely is needed. I mean, we're in 2022. We just came out of COVID. So I think gone are those days where it needs to just be men in a workplace, you know, and definitely in the music industry, more women coming up, more women getting their gains,
Shout
you
out
know,
to them.
securing the bag, you know, it's important. It's very, very important telling our stories from our perspective. And
Absolutely.
as an African woman, telling it not just from a woman's perspective, but from my African perspective is very, very important. Yeah.
Remain a boss in a boardroom. When you come home to your partner, your boyfriend, your husband, just be a little bit submissive. Are you in agreement with that?
If you're a guy and you're working in an office or wherever you work and you're not a boss in your space and you come home and you want to be the man of the house, no one's against it, right? Yeah. So why is it that when it comes to women, we always have to have this question being thrown at us, you know? Yeah, it's like I'm a God-fearing woman. So yes, I understand I need to be submissive. You know, I understand that my husband is to be the head of the household. But I just feel like we're at a place where as a woman, can our success not be celebrated without that question still being raised? I believe that my purpose and my husband's purpose, you know, is separate. We were both brought here to do something, to impact whatever career field, whatever it is that you're meant to do. In our household, you know, you are the head, I'm the wife, you know, that I completely understand. But in my business and what I need to do, what God brought me here to do, you know, I'm not gonna subdue that just because I'm a woman. You know, he wouldn't have given me that purpose, you know, and he wouldn't give me that purpose if he thought that I couldn't do it. God gave it to me as a woman, knowing that very well I can accomplish it, right? So that's got nothing to do with what's happening in the not in the bedroom, but in the house.
Yeah. You're talking about the bag, okay? So it means you earn more and he earns less. Is that still okay based on a gender, or should it be based on capabilities?
I think it should be based on your capabilities, you know. I shouldn't earn less just because I'm a female, especially if I can do the thing just as good. I do say that women shouldn't, if you're gonna step into for example, let me say a boardroom, don't expect to be paid the same level as a man just because you're a woman there, you know, actually meet the qualifications. If you're meeting the qualifications, if you're bringing the same value, if you're bringing more, you need to be paid at that level. Don't bring that excuse of, woman empowerment or whatever, you know, don't be lazy about it. Bring your A game. He's bringing his A game, you bring your A game. And if you're both bringing your A game, you also deserve to be paid the same amount. I'm a female, you know, and musician. If me and my counterparts, if a male musician has a song out and I have a song out and we're getting booked, I shouldn't get booked less just because I'm a female. I'm also bringing my A game. You know, I should be paid according to what I'm bringing to the stage. But I do know that I think outside Namibia is still okay. Namibia, I think people are getting kind of paid what they deserve, but I don't think it's the same throughout the greater Africa or greater world.
Absolutely.
Let me rather say that. For example, I'm going to speak about film because I do directing and things like that. For example, in film, women are still getting lesser budgets.
Yes.
Lesser budgets, you know, from the movies that get over 50 million, 100 million. Out of there's only about 4 or 5 a year go towards women.
And not even that,
Yeah.
then also if you're a woman of color, you get less than a Caucasian.
Yeah, the
which is really
conversation
sad.
when we go from woman to woman of color, that's even that's like
a different
you're like
conversation, but it's still in
0.0%.
existence.
0.0%, you know, within the continent and outside of the continent, you know. So I do think there's still a lot of work to be done. But overall, as a woman of color, you deserve to be paid what you're bringing to the table. Yeah, no one should be downgrading that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I wish you could actually perform for us, but hey, you can't. Yes, that was the award-winning sensation, Taylor J, just bringing her A game, and she feels like everybody deserves to be paid whatever they bring on the table. I am seated right here with an extraordinary woman who started her career as a clerk in the Founding Fathers office, worked her way up at age 27. She was already the Director General of the National Planning Commission. She then later on became the Minister of Finance, and now today we are seated with her as the third VIP citizen in this country, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Namibia, Madam Sarah Kukongelo Amadila. A warm welcome to the Toucy T Show.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you.
The pleasure is all mine.
Yes. It's like a pinch me moment. Thank you so much, a reality check.
Very good.
Yes, we are celebrating the International Women's Day, which is celebrated on the 8th of March. And we thought that it's very imperative that we have you on the show and you just give your overall view. You have read the theme for this year and we just wanted you to elaborate on the theme.
Thank you very much indeed for having me on this program. I think it is very important that the world pauses to recognize and appreciate women for the important role that they are playing in the welfare of the global community, because women are the mothers, they are the leaders at the households, they are the leaders at community level, and there should be no reason why they should not be leaders in other spheres of life. And I believe that the theme is most befitting because the equality and equity between genders is not only important for justice and fairness towards women, it is important for the sustainability of our developmental efforts. It's also important for the optimality of the outcomes that we would be able to derive from the efforts that we are making. Because women make up half of the world's population, and we will not be able to, as a global community, eradicate poverty if we leave behind half of the world's population. Secondly, we would not be able to optimize the results, the outcome from our efforts, if we underutilize or we sideline the talents of half of the world's population. So for the world's own good, it is important that the women are brought on par with their men counterpart, that they are given all the support that they need to realize their full potential, because it is in the best interest of everyone. And we hope that this theme does not just end as a theme, but that it is a wake-up call to all of us around the world to review our policies, our laws, to examine our attitudes as communities, to make sure that all the adjustments that need to be made are made to these laws, and that we implement programs that incorporate women, both in terms of their needs, supporting them, and ensuring that their voices are heard and their potentials utilized for the betterment of mankind.
There's a perception out there that says, remain the CEO in the boardroom or remain the Prime Minister right here in the office, but when you go home, become a wife. What is your take on that?
Yeah, you know, I think we should be well past that by this day and age. I think it's a real shame if there are still people that think that way. And it's actually very sad if that is so. Not only because it is wrong, but I think because experience has proven that it is simply just not feasible apart from it being wrong. Because as I have said, women have since time immemorial demonstrated that they are capable leaders at all levels, in all spheres of life, both at home. Of course, if people are saying women should remain at home, I believe they are recognizing that they play a leadership role at home. Some very innovative male person once said, well, The men can be the heads of the households if that's what they want, but the women will be the neck. And there is nothing that the head can do without the neck. So let us just agree that we jointly head our households, we jointly raise our families, we jointly support our family, we are all the better for it. You know, I know that when people say women should remain at home, they actually mean they should tend to the home, you know, and should cook and take care of the children and should not have employment. But we need to understand it this way. Before now I come to the important role of protecting and caring for the family, because that seems to be trivialized. When people say women should stay at home, they are saying the work that is to be done at home is not anything significant. It does not take a rocket scientist to raise the children and raise them well. That's practically what they are saying, and therefore women can do it. I will come to that later. But then I will start by saying, when women work, you have two adults at home that are bringing an income to the home. And a woman's income is not there for just theirs. In fact, there is a saying that says that if you empower a man, you empower an individual. If you empower a woman, you empower a family and a society and a nation. And therefore, if women are to be denied their right to go out there in the market and work and get remunerated a fair wage that reflect the work that they do, the skills that they bring, the talents that they have, then it means that society is practically denied the opportunity to act optimally and to derive the optimal benefits from the work and the creativity of the members of that society. That is first and foremost. Secondly, the development of every person starts at home. It is at home where our boys believing that they are better than girls, and therefore they can make women to behave as they please by being violent towards them. It is at home where our girls are made to believe that they should submit to the men, and therefore when they are abused, they should put up with it. We would therefore not be able to win the war against gender-based violence. We would not be able to encourage our girl child to take the opportunities of the education that is provided to them and become who they are capable of being if we do not start at home. And these children that are in the street, unfortunately, our sons, who are carrying out all kinds of criminal activities, who end up in jails, are for the most part children that did not have a father and a mother at home. So the mothers are left at home to do the best that they can. Those that are prospering, a good number of them, are raised by their mothers alone. So the presidents of the most powerful nations, the CEOs of the biggest corporations, the innovators, these are sometimes people that are raised by single parents who are mothers. So it cannot be said that the work at home is a little job that women can do. It's a work that a lot of people fail to do. They put in the greatest efforts. That's why they say you can invest optimally in your child, but in the end you may end up disappointed. So a lady that doesn't go to work and raises a family is not a lady that has failed. It's not an unimportant person that has not contributed optimally to society. So every person that is up there, we should remember they are somebody's son or daughter, and somebody made immense sacrifices to make sure that they are up there.
Thank you so, so much.
The pleasure
You're
is
truly
mine.
a force to reckon with. You are inspiration to many, and personally my inspiration. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
People wanting more and more. It depends when she hits the floor. People wanting more and more.
That brings us to the end of the special edition program celebrating beautiful, gifted Namibian queens. Thank you for tuning in into this informative yet inspirational episode. Don't forget to follow us on various social platforms under the name The Toucy T Show. From me, Toucy T, and the entire team, until next time, be blessed.
Welcome to the Toucy T Show. Inspiration and so much more. Communication, motivation, y'all. It's a show for the people, by the people, y'all.